Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome into Tom Curran's Patriots Talk podcast. Got a good one today. Going to talk some Drake Maye because everything kind of revolves around the quarterback for this football team, as it should. As it should. We'll talk about what he is dealing with in terms of accuracy and issues that he has seen and whether or not he's got too much on his plate. We asked Mike Vrabel about that, and Josh McDaniels addressed it as well on Thursday. We will also have Marcel Louis-Jacques from ESPN. Covers the Dolphins. We'll go in depth on that team, which is a little embattled as well. But first, Phil Perry, you know him. He's not going to be on today, but you love him. He asked if there was a common denominator that Drake Maye saw in his inaccuracies in the plays that he would, quote, like to have back from last Sunday in the opener.
Someone's rushing him. I think, I see him and, kind of rush it to try to get out to as quick as he can. The one to pop, he was getting close to the sideline with kind of a trap corner there, so try to get it out as quick as I can to him to get the first. But from there, I think, really, I feel like I've been throwing it pretty good and, seen it well. So I think, sometimes there's throws that, like I said, you just, that could have helped us. And, I feel like I made some pretty good throws throughout the game, that I felt good about accuracy-wise. So, I'm not going to overharp on too much, but at the same time, you got to hit guys when they're open. So it's an even kind of balance. But I think I definitely accuracy is one of the biggest things in quarterback. So being accurate is what I take pride in, and you can't miss open guys.
Meanwhile, on Thursday, we got Josh McDaniels at the podium. Here's what he had to say about his quarterback.
We haven't given him anything more than what we've given him all year, which is not too much. We have to understand it's his first game in our system. I'm focused really on the process of him getting better every day, because I think the view of it is, it's got to be a long-term vision of where this guy's going to be. He's going to be a really good player. He's a young quarterback. He's learning through all these experiences, and he's the right guy. And so we're going to have an opportunity to continue to grow and improve and get better. And I think I would be really jumping ahead and jumping the gun if I tried to sit here and pinpoint one or two things. We work on a lot of things to try to get better every day, and he's gonna improve.
So this is a discussion that really there's two discussions here. One is that I mentioned in the offseason that expectations for Drake Maye were going to be different this year. It's not a foundational year. He's going to be seen as a second-year quarterback. The expectations for the Patriots to have a successful season in many people's eyes is tied to the performance that Drake Maye is presumed to give you as the third overall pick in his second year in the league, having shown good potential. So the expectations are high. But what continues to plague might be a strong word. What continues to be something for him to work through is the fact that he gets sped up, as he acknowledged. Phil mentioned to me when he and I were talking, he said, I think he rushes because he's late. Might be late to process, might be unsure of what he's looking at, might be double checking. And it makes a hell of a lot of sense. On that throw to Demario Douglas that Drake is referring to, think about that. It's an out route kind of on the sideline, and he has to hurry it before Demario Douglas goes out of bounds. From huddle to line of scrimmage, I think Drake Maye is fine. When the ball hits his hands is when he starts to get jumpy, because I don't think he yet trusts what he is seeing in terms of what Josh McDaniels wants him to see. So just like anybody, speaking a foreign language for the first time, you think you have it in class, and then you go into a conversation, you might not know if you have the exact right word. You're going to pause. You're going to be a little slower. And then when you get the word, you might spit it out quick. And I think that could be a little bit of what Drake Maye is dealing with. So they do have to figure out a way to get him to slow down. I think that he ultimately will, although I do think it is inherent in his nature to be a speedy guy. I think his mind works very quickly, and you can almost hear it when he speaks at the podium. He's thinking as he's speaking instead of digesting. Again, I'm not putting him on the couch. I'm not saying he's unintelligent, but I think as a 22-year-old, not yet 23, he's still growing into who he's going to be. So he's got a lot of pressure on him. He has high expectations, and he should. And he's gone through 4 different offensive coordinators in 4 years since he's been in North Carolina. Played 26 games in college. I'm explaining, I'm not making excuses. When you get taken number 3 overall, team puts its faith in you. You've seen good plays from a guy. You expect them to follow soon after. I do think they need more data before they start making rash decisions about what they're taking off his plate, because the Patriots need to right now have that urgency that they have shown, but not let it toggle on over into panic with Drake Maye. And in that vein, I followed up with Mike Vrabel on Wednesday about his notion that, hey, sometimes we just got to run the play. Paraphrasing, not get to the line and audible and try and find the perfect play. Sometimes you just got to run it. So here's what Mike had to say about that. And it's good that he answers this in the way he does. So listen close, if you could, to Mike's explanation about what he means when he says, maybe we should just run the play. Maybe we can run the play.
Mike, you mentioned earlier in the week, you always try to get into the right play. Sometimes you're going to get to the line of scrimmage and get a look and you say, no, we can't run that play. And you said, well, maybe we can. Is this kind of a data collection thing? Let's run the play. It might be.
Yeah, I mean, we've been through this where you're not going to block the safety. Sometimes the guy makes a miss. Sometimes he runs him over. Like, we watch all the games. Like, that's kind of sometimes how it happens, and sometimes the guy makes a tackle. And so I've been through that, you know what I mean? So it's, you just don't want to put people in harm's way if they're pressuring and you hand the ball off into some, pressure. So, again, I think it's all relative in having some decisive answers to give yourself the best chance, right? You don't want to hand the ball off into somebody that's unblocked and blitzing. Well, if somebody's, for example, let's say maybe at 6 or 7 yards, well, let's let it eat and let somebody make a miss.
So he's not saying get to the line, see 11 guys in the box, and just run the thing anyway because you like the play call or you want to send a mano-a-mano, tougher than now message. But if the issue that you're seeing requires, for instance, a linebacker who might be looming at the second level, using Mike's example, that you might think is crashing down, run it. Maybe you see if Ramondre Stevenson can make that guy miss. Maybe you see if Travion Henderson can beat somebody in the flat, that even though there looks like there's a coverage over there. So I get that concept. And I also thought it was important to underscore that, and I asked Mike about whether or not you want to just run the play, and then it feeds into if Josh McDaniels has been saying we're going to be audibling out of those plays, and Mike says run them, and Josh runs them, you do run into the situation where Josh could then say, I'm not saying that he would, but at least have a sense of, see, that's why we don't run those plays. Now it's 2nd and 12. And Mike then went on to say, we're not looking for I told you so's. We're trying to get into the right spot. So, again, he's been great. Vrabel has open, honest, transparent. We look at the times that he is open and honest and say, well, he's throwing guys under the bus. I think you got to build up some armadillo skin, whether you're in the coaching room, a player, the media. He's going to give you his unvarnished opinion on what is transpiring. Now, before the Patriots play the Dolphins, we're going to go in depth with Marcel on that. But before they get down there, we're obviously going to be continuing to monitor the availability of Christian Gonzalez and also the ramifications, which Mike Vrabel said that he would get into deeper on Friday, of the absence of Terrell Williams, the defensive coordinator, as Mike told us on Wednesday, laid low by a health issue and asked him to step away for a couple of days and have some tests. So, God willing, everything ends up being fine with Terrell Williams and he's able to return. But what will be the fallout on the field on Sunday? We'll get more on that on Friday from Mike, but one would presume that Zach Kerr, who stepped into the void when Terrell Williams was down in the summer, will be the lead defensive coordinator and presumably also the play caller. We'll get to the bottom of that with Mike if we can. This game against Miami does present some interesting issues. Miami losing 33-8, and they were down 33-0, 33-8 to the Indianapolis Colts. They had 3 turnovers from Tua. He was also sacked 3 times. They had 211 yards worth of offense compared to 418 from the Colts, and Mike McDaniel continues to sound a little bit like a sad sack. Here he was in his Wednesday press conference.
It was a very frustrating process because it was maddening, the things that we were doing or weren't doing, so to speak. At the same time, it was not an individual or a unit or a position group or a particular phase. It was a very consistent theme, which makes you feel like you have something to directly address today and moving forward. But it doesn't make it any easier. So the biggest thing is I don't envy anybody that's covering or any fan or anybody that is Dolphins, because you're still living in a place that, that was embarrassing, as I said.
So here's our guy, Marcel Louis-Jacques, down from South Florida. He's going to get us up to speed on what's going on with the Dolphins. And Marcel, some team somewhere across the 32 has to be the team that puts up the biggest turd on week one. And it happened to be the Miami Dolphins. The Sharks be circling, it seems.
Yeah, and personally, after watching this team for the past, I've been on the beat for 5 years now, but watching them this summer, I thought the outside noise was a little overblown. I said, I don't really understand it. Why are people this low on the Dolphins team? It felt like they were overreacting to joint practices with the Bears and another one with the Lions. But in both of those games, the team played fine, considering they didn't have Tyreek Hill, they didn't have Devon Achane for 2 or 3 of them. So I thought it was overblown. I thought the offense may take a second to reconvene, but this front seven is going to be really good. It's going to be good. They're going to get pressure on the quarterbacks. It's going to mitigate, how bad that secondary, inexperienced secondary is. I thought it was going to be, especially against the Colts. It's like they're going to be fine. Like I don't understand what the panic is.
Isn't it the worst?
And then 30-0 hit. The scoreboard hit 30-0, and I'm sitting here like, well, dude, let me make sure I book my flights for the year just to make sure I'm going to these games before the wheels fall off. But no, all jokes aside, obviously it was as you put it so eloquently, it was a turd in week one. Fans are surprised, media is surprised, players are surprised. We're in the locker room yesterday. Devon Achane even says, dude, we can't believe it either. Like, that's not what we trained for. That's not what we practiced for. That's not what we believed was going to happen going into the game. But, the critical thing about week one, as they continue to tell us, they don't want to overreact to a big win. They don't want to underreact to a big loss. They want to make sure that they stay right in the middle while also, recognizing the sense of urgency in that, like, hey, man, you got a division game coming up in week 2. It's at home. This is one you don't want to say must win this early in the season, but this is one you probably got to have, considering how tight the AFC wildcard race and the AFC East race is going to be.
And the Patriots should be a team that Miami should be able to look at and say, that's one we should get. We've gotten them 7 times in a row. 2 has never lost to them. Maybe they have a new head coach. Maybe the kid's in his second year. But the Patriots, for your purposes, are dealing with a situation where there's a lot of consternation about whether or not Drake Maye is dealing with too much on his plate. The Josh McDaniels offense, trying to process, trying to get in and out of plays at the line of scrimmage. And he is a very speedy thinker. And his mind seems to be a little bit of a snow globe right now. So that's what you're going to be looking at from that side. So if the front seven of Miami is a little bit shamed from last week, they could pose a problem. But Mike McDaniel, in the quote that I just played, the sound that I just played, said that in looking at the film, he concluded by saying they were embarrassed, but in watching all the phases of the game, there was one common denominator. What the hell was the common denominator? Effort? Focus?
See, I would say maybe more focus than effort, because it doesn't sound like effort itself in a vacuum was the problem. The problem was guys were almost trying too hard. They're trying too hard to make a play that they're abandoning their rush assignments. And there was a moment in his press conference, I believe I want to say it was Monday. It could have been yesterday. Time is not real. But he said that he used an example. He said Zach Sealer on one specific play abandoned his pass rush lane while trying to get a sack, and it led to an explosive play. Like, it at its core, it's just a guy trying to make a play, right? But those are the kind of variables that they can't have if you're trying to run a tight ship. And some people bristled at it. They said, well, Zach Sealer's the last guy that you need to hold accountable. Like, of all guys you could have called out, you call out Zach Sealer. Yes, that's the point. Like when we're here about culture change in Miami, a big issue, and I'm actually writing something on this as we speak, a big issue was a perceived inability from Mike McDaniel to call out a certain tier of player.
Mm-hmm.
If you're above this tier, you're probably not getting called out publicly. You're not getting chewed out in a meeting. That was the belief. So for him to do something completely out of character as we know him and go in the media and say that your unquestioned leader in the locker room, Zach Sealer, made a critical mistake that led to an explosive play. Like I thought that set the tone in saying everybody can get it. Anybody can be held accountable. Nobody is above the law, essentially.
I was surprised to listen to that Monday press conference, 16 minutes, and boy, he left in his very quiet, sad, solemn way. He blasted everybody. And you've been doing it a while. I've been doing it a while. You often think, how's this going to play with the players? And there were very few occasions in which he said, our plan could have been better there, or we didn't get them ready. There were very few we didn't get them ready. So he did put the players on notice, but there seemed to be very little introspection. And Mike Giardi, who you might know from his time with NFL media, covered plenty of the Dolphins too. And he says, this is a sea change. This is a guy who was always very forgiving and apologetic's the wrong word, but just he took it on himself seemingly. So was that a difference, did you see? And will these players in some regards, perhaps they're not going to say it, but by deed maybe go, F him?
I don't know. Like I'm going to throw it back a little bit here to when I was in college, right? I used to referee at the student rec center, intramural games. And my boss used to always tell me refereeing is like a rubber band. It's very hard to tighten it up after it's been loose. So if you start loose and you let everything go, it's very hard at the end of the game to tighten up. And I think that applies to really any authoritative seat, right? Like it is hard to start off soft and then get tighter because you have already set more or less the standard of what is acceptable in your regime. So I think that, for the past 3 years, they have been winning games. They did make 2 playoff appearances, but as we heard from Chris Greer this offseason, like you have to think, like, are we winning the right way? I think that was a prevalent conversation in the building this offseason. Were we winning the right way? And Mike loves to give his players power. You know what I'm saying? Like this isn't like he flipped the switch and he's cracking the whip at practice and he's yelling and beating his chest. He's not Mike Vrabel. Perfect example here from this week.
Exactly.
He's not Vrabel. That's not his style. Like you can't ask an elephant to be an eagle. Like it's not they're completely different animals here. So he wants his players to hold themselves accountable, to motivate themselves, like because it has to come from within. Otherwise, it doesn't feel organic. And so when you have a performance like you saw on Sunday, and you're seeing Mike at these press conferences ever since, I think what you're seeing is overall disappointment because you're saying, like, from his perspective, like, I trusted you guys. I put this in your hands. I got you ready. Like, I did my job as a coach, but I'm not your overlord. I'm believing in you guys, and we didn't perform. So I think there is some disappointment there. And, maybe he realizes sometimes that maybe you don't always need a sarcastic comment. Maybe you don't always need to make a dry joke. It does rub fans the wrong way. Like I read the comments, it blows up it does rub fans the wrong way. It's not to say that he pays attention to every comment, but like I think there is some self-awareness in there that like okay, yeah, we got smacked in week 1. Like let me just kind of mute that down a little bit and just get some direct to the point answers.
He was direct to the point too in discussing Tua, who has had a tough week in the wake of that 3-turnover, 3-sack performance. Xavier Howard, just quoting Xavier Howard, former Dolphin, was with the Colts. He said, "We knew he gets the ball out pretty quick, and once we take away his first read, I feel like it's panic mode after that." And it showed yesterday. Tua was asked about that. You had a comment about that, saying, "Oh, that hurts extra coming from a former teammate." And Mike McDaniel kind of addressed it and said, "Yeah, wasn't his best." Where's Tua at right now?
I think the thing about Tua is one, he takes losses super personally. Like he is a serious football player. So like I know that just what I know about him, he has put in extra work this week to make sure something like that doesn't happen again. But he did, like I think the comments cut deep, not necessarily from Xavier Howard, because this is the first time an opposing player has said this about Tua. But I think the question coming from media that, hey, why is it that your turnovers tend to come in bunches? He doesn't usually bite back like that. Like that's not
Mhm.
his style in press conferences. So for him to, kind of stand his ground on multiple occasions, one, it's growth as a person, not to just kind of roll over in a press conference. But two, I think like it struck a nerve a little bit because it is statistically true.
I know.
It's statistically true. Since 2020, he has 6 games with at least 3 turnovers. It is the second most in the NFL behind Trevor Lawrence. It is true. In the 2 of his last 3 starts, multiple interceptions and lost fumble. Like it's statistically true. So you can't deny it. Nobody's saying you turn the ball over a bunch, but when
Right.
you do, it comes in bunches. Like it's both things can be true. I think it looked like a quarterback who was not in tune with his offense from early on, and then was in his head after that. And we're seeing the quick triggers usually that we usually see was not there. You're not progressing through reads. You're getting happy feet. You're trying to create, off schedule, and that's not really his game. That's the Mahomesian and this new generation of quarterbacks is so good at scrambling and using their feet. Like that's not really where he's at his best per se.
Right.
He can, but like if you have to win a game off him doing that, that's not really a conducive formula.
Right, because the arm is not there to be able to still like throw it like a shortstop going into the hole and have the velocity. Drake Maye can do that, but I think we might see the Sunday of the happy feet because May's feet were ecstatic last week. They were giddy. How are these offensive line issues on the right side? Correct.
Yes.
How is that going to impact them? And then additionally, the drama surrounding Tyreek Hill, which can be omnipresent, but how might that affect the Miami offense this week? And does one more I'm going to throw on, just one more log on the fire. Do they have a home field advantage from the crowd, or is it just the weather?
Mainly, I would think it's mainly the weather. I have not experienced a Dolphins game outside of the press box. So like when it gets loud, like it's still a very subdued noise. The loudest that I ever hear that stadium, and they're gonna hate this, but like it is what it is. Change it if you don't like it. The loudest I ever hear that stadium is when the Buffalo Bills come to town. That's the loudest that stadium has gotten in the 4 or 5 years that I have been here. The Bills, the Steelers, the Cowboys come to town.
Do you know
Like
when
it
that place
just
used to rock with Jason Taylor on the end and Madison and Surtain on the corners? Brady didn't know whether to shit or go blind. It was chaos. They used to really torture him. Back to live action though. How will the offense be impacted?
Yeah, there's going to be some changes on the offensive line this week. Keon Smith is looking like he's going to be replacing James Daniels at right guard for the next couple of weeks, or at least maybe until Cole Strange gets acclimated and maybe he wins the job from there on out. I don't expect him to start this current week. And then we're going to see probably Larry Borum there at right tackle for Austin Jackson. And the knee-jerk reaction is like, oh my God, from fans, here we go again. Already it's week 2 and there's already changed on the offensive line. But when you look at the summer, they've more or less had to play with this patchwork offensive line all summer. Like Austin Jackson missed the last month of the season. James Daniels was healthy, but they like to rotate their guys in with the first team. It's not like, oh, the first team gets 30 snaps and the second team gets some set. Like guys constantly mix in so that in the event an injury happens, you know what to expect from this person. That being said, like that's still, when you look at last year's starting offensive line, that means one returning starter from last year's, top 5 starting O-line, and that's center Aaron Brewer. Patrick Paul, I thought was excellent in week 1. I think he was graded excellent as well. Jonas Savaianaya, the rookie left guard, speed of the game is still coming to him, but he is strong as an ox. They love him here. Big expectations for him coming out of Arizona in the second round. The depth right now, it was a concern entering the season,
Same here.
and immediately it's brought up, right? So like immediately now, if one of these guys goes down on Sunday, that's when maybe you have to see a Cole Strange. Maybe you have to see a Dan Brunskill. You have to see maybe even a Kendall Lamb, who I'm a little puzzled why he's not playing. He spent the offseason in Philly, but he spent the past couple seasons in Miami, so he knows the scheme, he knows the system. So I kind of thought that he would get the nod there at right tackle over Larry Borum, but Mike McDaniel called Larry Borom by name. Who am I to argue against that? So that's the status of the offensive line. When it comes to Tyreek Hill, it's kind of like, I'm trying to say this respectfully, like it's almost par for the course at
Sure.
this point. Like over the past few years, like it is what it is. Like over the past 4 years, like there has usually been something right off the field. There's been something to deal with off the field. Like I'm not saying it's his fault. I'm not saying it's not. I'm not beyond placing blame. There, logic, like factually, has been something to deal with off the field. So at this point, if they don't know how to tune it out, I don't know what to tell them, because like you've had to do it for 4 years now. And if you can get placed in handcuffs before a game, show up an hour and a half or an hour later, put up 180 yards or whatever it was on the Jaguars, like I don't think this is going to be an issue for Tyreek Hill. Off the field stuff, the bigger issue is the chemistry with Tua. It's not there right now. And Tua was adamant that the relationship is good. He said that it was overblown, although he is the one who blew it in the first place. It doesn't matter. He's the one that said that it needed fixing in the first place, but he said it was overblown. It maybe wasn't that big a deal as everybody else made it. They're in a good spot. I think 4 catches on 6 targets, 40 yards last week. $30 million receiver, that's not going to cut it. They need to get clicking. Otherwise, this offense really isn't the same. It's over reliant, I think, on Devon Achane to go make a play, as evidenced by that touchdown on 4th down. That thing was DOA when he got his hands on the ball, and that 5'8", 190-pound running back put his shoulder through a defender and got his way into the end zone for 8 points and a 30-point blowout. Like that's admirable, but like he's not going to make that play all game, every game for 18 weeks, 17 weeks. So like they need that. They need Tyreek going. They need Jalen Waddle going. They need production out of the tight end room. But it's another question.
Yeah. I saw the Darren Waller news. They don't know if he'll be able to play this season. But you got Jonnu, who I enjoyed a lot when he was up here. God bless him. Tell him I said hi. Might not even remember my name, but
I can call him in Pittsburgh and tell him.
Oh shit, he's in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
We're on tape. We're on tape, but we can scratch. We can leave that in. I love making my weekly mistake. Listen to me.
It's all good.
If you need,
I thought you were setting up a joke there. Like, well, at least he got John. Oh darn! But yeah, no, they traded him in Ramsey for Minka.
They did for Fitzpatrick, and no.
Yep.
Fitzpatrick. Okay, be that as. See, I'm just trying to save face now. No one cares. I got to run. But if there's one team, Marcel, to get right against, it would be a team that allowed 9 plays of 20 or more. There were 4 in the first quarter of 20 or more, and then 5 more later. There was a 3rd and 11 completion, 3rd and 20 completion for 25 yards when the Patriots absolutely had to get off the field. And they ran a blitz.
Can't have that.
Ran a blitz. Carlton Davis got beat 1-on-1, and Jacoby Myers is terrific in his role. He's a 1B all day long, no matter where you go. He's fine. And Brock Bowers is terrific, but he wasn't really out there at the end of the game. Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle are more explosive players, as is Achane. This could be, again, I'm helping you if you're trying to do previews. They just kept blitzing the other day. And against Geno, that's not a great idea because he's seen everything. I don't know if that'll work against Tua, but how has Tua been against the blitz? Do you think if the Patriots say, screw it, we're going after him, they can get home?
I mean, if it's exotic enough, you run a couple zone blitzes as well. Then maybe you can switch up your coverage enough to confuse that first read. But again, like to beat the blitz, you have to get the ball out fast, and nobody is better at getting the ball out of his hand fast than Tua. It's his blessing and his curse, right? So their coverage is still going to have to be tight behind that blitz. But I don't know. I don't know how much I would recommend that. I don't know how much I would recommend that. That's up to Vrabel and his guys. Yeah. So that's to decide. But we have not seen the explosive Dolphins in quite some time. And in that span of the past 2 years, there have been opponents that you say, well, this is a chance to get it going. Well, if you're going to get it going, this is going to be it. And we haven't seen the explosive Dolphins. It's kind of the dink and drive Dolphins, which was a concerted effort last year to extend drives and give their defense some rest and not be too reliant on that, goal ball. But like, man, you gotta find your fastball. You gotta get your fastball back if you're Miami, and your fastball is Tyreek, go deep.
Somebody's going to come out of Sunday's game feeling tremendous about themselves, and somebody is going to be lower than a snake's belly. This is one of those games. These are two teams that you don't want to lose to.
Yeah, and I mean, for Miami's sake too, you got Buffalo on a short week in Buffalo. It's your last game at Highmark Stadium, last game at the Ralph. I don't know that Buffalo team loses a game in that stadium this season. Just the energy and the emotion that they're probably going to be playing with. It's a tough game. And for Miami, like they either get blown out by Buffalo or it's like a last possession, last team to get the ball type of deal. And they lost on a 63-yard field goal in Buffalo last year. Like, I don't think they're scared to play Buffalo, but there is still a real hurdle in beating that team to where going in there 0-2 would be tough mentally. So yeah, I think they do need to win this game.
Patriots are in the same boat, or all that off-season Vrabel energy will be dissipating. Marcel, have a great rest of the week. We really appreciate you. I thought that was terrific. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on, Tom.
That was good. I really enjoyed that guy. Good pipes on him. And I like the rubber band analogy. Meanwhile, got another guy for you you're going to enjoy. It's Chaisson, Patriots defensive end. Had a good week last week. Played 70% of the snaps for the Patriots. And he had averaged 35% of the snaps in his previous 5 years in the league. And I did say 5 years. You know how old this kid is? 26. He's only 26. I don't know how good he's going to be. He does have a nice resume, a nice approach. And if he fits here and can be a productive player for them, that'd be helpful. So let's cut to the chase. Here's Chaisson, and we'll wrap it up after Chaisson, and we will see you on the aftermath Sunday. Phil and I will get together and be coming at you after the Patriots and Dolphins game. Have a great weekend. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Chaisson. New Patriots edition had a real good first game coming off the edge. He was also a game captain. The reason for that, he got votes as a captain, both as a defensive captain and a special teams captain. Nice honor.
No, most definitely. No, really super appreciated by the team, and definitely don't take it for granted.
All right, let's get right into this with irrelevant questions. Here's an irrelevant one. What do you eat the day of the game before the game?
That's a good question. I try not to eat too heavy. If I can have a choice of it, I try to choose some type of pasta, and maybe with a white sauce, and kind of go from there.
After the game?
After the game, now that's when we eat good. Now we celebrate the big meals. So I'm a Caribbean food lover. So anytime I can get something curry or maybe oxtail or some vibes or Jamaican jerk, I'll tap into that for sure.
I wonder if you're going to be out of luck up here with Caribbean food. I don't know yet. I'm kind of a steak and potatoes guy. I should know whether it's Caribbean food. Somebody asked me. I've been here all my life. I don't know. Tell me about that state championship game when you were a junior down there for North Shore. Super,
super dope moment. That was actually one of the first years that the state championship game had got moved to Houston, with it always being in Dallas. So I had the opportunity to have the whole fam there. It was a great year. We hit adversity early on in that year to kind of just see who we were as a team. So going into that game, I knew the stakes were high. We had a team coming from Austin that was a really good team that had some good alumni that was represented well. So I love when the stakes is high and the pressure is all on us, and to come out and make the plays and in the game. So I thrive well in those moments.
So he had a fourth down stop to clinch the game. Also a fumble recovery, 3 sacks, tackles for loss. The man was everywhere, everywhere. But he almost did not play football because he opted for basketball. What was the thought process there? I got a game Thursday night if you want to come, semifinals.
No, I'm tapped in.
Okay.
Let's do it.
See, first time anybody brings a non-family member to watch one of those ridiculous games. But what made you switch back to football, and do you still have the itch to play hoop?
No, the itch to play basketball is always going to be there. That's a true love. That's always going to be in tune with the heart. But I kind of knew just going throughout the game, just throughout the time. I had a lot of coaches in my ear. just tells me just about the chances of playing football at the next level and how much of my versatility being off the court and onto the grass to kind of transpire and make a lot of do well for me and my family. So I definitely was happy to give it a try for sure. Still was missing the hardwood for sure. Definitely wanted to get that away, but the opportunities, once those started presenting themselves and just seeing how respectful the game was to me, and I just understood that this can go somewhere far.
So you're a Rockets guy?
I am. Huge Rockets fan.
All right. We're a big Celtic station, okay? So we're going to have to see if we can bring you over here with a little green, but you might be dyed-in-the-wool Rockets fan, so we might not be able to convert you.
We already stole one of our coaches in the past, so we can work past.
It's a good point by him. Living up here, you said to me right before we came on, first time you've not been living down south. How's the adjustment so far? Is it more difficult with the weather, the atmosphere, or the people?
That's a good question. Everything is all kind of have its bits and pieces that you can take from. The weather down south right now, we're still beaming. It's still beaming. So we're getting adjusted. We're enjoying the cool weather, the good breeze that comes with it. This past week with some rain, I didn't know that really came with Boston.
You're gonna get some rain.
That threw me off a little bit. But other than that, it's cool. The people are great. Die-hard sports fans in every aspect, man. Obviously, when you get to talking about the baseball, the hockey, the basketball, obviously the football as well. Super dope to be a part of, man. Obviously, I've been in places where obviously been born in Houston. Houston is a big city itself, with a lot of things outside of sports can be praised. So being here was like, hey, when you come here, just know that this is what we're about and this is kind of what we represent, we die hard about. And I really do appreciate it for sure.
It's an intensity to a Boston sports fan. As I said, we can go 0 to what the F really fast.
Yeah. And and I appreciate that. I'd rather it be that way than fans that's not in tune with the team at all, and we kind of have to try to force and pull nails and teeth to get them all in tune with what we got going on. So it's dope being a part of the atmosphere for sure.
What's this defense do for you individually? You were a first-round pick. You've been in a few different places. You must be dying to sink roots in an NFL city. That this place does have some tradition. Yeah. Does this feel like a place that you could call home if things go well?
Most definitely. And I think Braves does a good job of that, and try to make sure that this defense fits everybody's skill set. I think that was his intention, obviously, when he dug out into drafts and free agency and making sure that everybody kind of make sure they played a part into this. And I think the defense has fit well with me personally. I think it gives me opportunity to showcase my skill set as a pass rusher and also my versatility when it comes to being a part of different stunts and movement across the line. So I'm super excited to be a part of it, and I'm excited to see what the year brings for sure.
That should be a good year. You're going down south. You'll be feeling at home. You won number 18 at LSU. That's a storied number at LSU.
Yes.
When they gave that out, were you surprised to get it? Did you request it? You can't be requesting 18, can you?
No.
What was that honor like?
No, super surprising for sure. I remember the moment like it was yesterday because I was sitting next to a couple guys within the team meeting room. We were trying to guess who those guys were going to be. Just obviously that's the day when we hand out number 7 and we hand out 18 and just kind of those guys so we showed that some true staples are part of the team. So and I had a couple guys in mind that I felt like that was definitely capable of wearing those numbers. So when the shocking news came to me and we was brought up on the team, and it was pretty dope. Obviously that people around the building and your peers and your players also get a chance to have an input on that. So to see that people looked at me in that way as a captain, as a true leader on and off the field that can represent LSU in the best way possible, it was dope, and I was truly honored for sure.
See, we don't know the story of 18 there. See, I know 7 was worn by Burt Jones. See, that's how old I am.
Yeah, you passed me.
A little bit. Why is 18 a special number there?
True historic number. Obviously, truly represents, like I said, captains and true leaders on and off the field. Obviously, guys who have exceptional talent to be a part of such a historic program, but it gets much deeper and much bigger than what your on-the-field impact can be. And so, once again, like that was just something that I just naturally was, and just naturally who my parents raised me to be. Just to make sure I be around the building, make sure I'm always near and helpful to any peer of mine, and make sure that I'm always near their ear whenever there's a time needed, or shoot when things might still just be going good. Just to give you the reassurance, like, hey, brother, you're doing a good job. Or I do appreciate your effort that you're having around the building. field and keep going. So me having that time, obviously my sophomore year, I had some time to sit out and kind of just be around the building. But it wasn't one day that I didn't want to be around the guys and be next to everybody and just feel the love and support and just kind of go through everything still as I was on the field. So with that coming with it, man, I was really, really appreciative for sure.
That's great. Now we get to my favorite portion of the program. It's, hey, what's your number? You are wearing number 44, which is my favorite number by far. Begins with Pistol Pete Maravich. Again, continue to date myself. He also wore 7. I know. Pistol Pete, you can watch those highlights
Come on
forever.
now, that's a true baller right there.
That's an LSU guy,
Yeah,
too.
that's what I'm saying. You
Pete
see
and
some.
Press.
You see some.
Why 44? Is it the only number that was there? And do you kind of like the way it looks? Because 44 is a good-looking number.
It is. I actually had my mother, my sister, and my brother had an input on it. My sister was definitely, she's big into kind of the angel number, so she was like, it's right there, obviously 444. So when she kind of brought it up to me, I said, okay, I get that. I like how that feels, and I've just always been on the guy, just like, man, you kind of give me a number and I'm gonna figure out how to make it go play. So, but I do respect the number. I do truly believe of it, and obviously when it comes to being a part of this franchise and being able to represent it and just kind of make sure I can staple my own and hang it up in the rafters itself, I thought about that when picking it.
All right, last question, too. You are very involved in charity. I believe it's homeless folks who you work with.
Yes, homeless folks and many more, but I am involved with those as well.
Is there any place we can look for or any events we can look toward that you're going to be having later this year that we can maybe get ourselves involved with or make sure the fans know about?
No, most definitely. Obviously, we are definitely stapled in with the Thanksgiving. We will have a Thanksgiving charity event, and we will have a Shop with a Jock and Christmas event we'll be able to shop for homeless and underprivileged youth with the need. For my whole idea of the foundation is the Touch of Soul Foundation. I'm a big guy into shoes. I love footwear. That was something that I kind of always been admired upon of. So I want to have something that makes sure that I'm always in touch and I still have a thrive for it, not only for just a giving back, but it's still enthusiasm to myself as well. So it started off with me just want to make sure everyone has some footwear, kind of has something to go when it's starting with school with, or just make sure to have some on the feet. But then it started believing, hey, this can be much more than just feet wear. Obviously, it can be something much bigger than that. So any opportunity that I can to give out and help the community in any ways possible, like I said, it can be homeless, underprivileged children, single mothers, whichever avenue that I can touch and be able to give my gift to, that's something that I'm willing to be a part of for sure.
All right, good ad off the field, good ad on the field. Caleb on Chaisson, thanks for the time, buddy.
No, I really appreciate you.
All right, so the game is Thursday night. It's at 7:30, okay? It's down at the Raynham Athletic Club, and we've been working on keeping the elbow in and really just stepping. Just get that, you don't just step. Step and then go.
Right there, see how that elbow, right there.
100%.
Just let it, and you gotta leave the pinky up. And let them know.
Yeah.
That's it, just let it right there. Yes, sir.